Sean, I'm just curious if you introduced your friend to the two sisters so that they would have a better understanding of what it's like to be that person who was in a cult and then a family member dealing with a friend, dealing with a sibling who's been in a cult.
No, our person was so generous. It was very personal experience, very private, and so we kept it private.
So then I guess to Elizabeth and Sarah, how did you both research the role? One being somebody who was in a cult, and then the other dealing with somebody slowly as it's unraveling and realizing what's wrong with the
Well, I
system.
don't think Lucy ever finds out what happened.
Right.
So there wasn't any research except for my own research of having a sibling who doesn't always share the things that are going on with her with me and wishing that she did. My sister, whose name is Elizabeth, actually, never, truly is, you know, never was that withdrawn, and but I just sort of drew on some of that, and it was easy to do because Lizzie had so much kind of going on all the time that even when she wasn't speaking, there was a whole lot being communicated, and so it was easy to respond to, you know, the lack of response that I was getting from you.
Well, and yes, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I do, I get it. Yeah. Shoot, I keep losing my train of thought because I'm nervous.
I was saying
Research. I think it was mainly Sean sharing his friend's experience anonymously with me. I didn't necessarily do research about cults. It was more about how you can try and have something that you really deeply cannot share with other people, and that kind of fear that you keep in words, and try and deal with somehow with I mean, because it's also a kind of shameful thing, not really knowing what's going on. I find that humiliating almost to someone. So it's I think it was that I was interested in.
One of the things that attracted me to this project, I felt that every time I read the script and all the different drafts and turned every page, I kept asking myself, what happens next? And really, even as the movie ends, I'm still left with that question in a very big way that spread all throughout the film with all the characters wondering what happens next. And I wonder, actually starting with Julia, if you all could talk a little bit about what happens a year from now to your characters as you imagine it.
Well, I think you're asking what is going to happen to Sarah a year after. She's probably going to still be abused in the cult, brainwashed by John Hawkes. Yeah, and probably she thinks, should I escape? But she doesn't really know because she wants to go back home. I mean, she doesn't want to go back home. But, it's everybody that joins the cult is just really confused. And they join together and they're lonely. So that's just pretty much it.
Good Spirit, what's up with Max?
Where does Max go?
We have discussed options.
We've had a lot of semi-joking ways of talking about what happens to Max after everything goes, because he's kind of he's a bit of a freeloader, but with a I guess good heart, but
roaming hands.
With what?
But roaming hands.
Yeah, fair enough. Gets lonely, but I think he winds up sticking around. I think he probably complains a lot about how he wants to leave and how people treat him. But I think he's got too much of a big heart, and I think he just loves people that even hates him. Even John's character. He loves him.
I love how you guys have the complete faith that the cult is sticking around. It's definitely going strong.
Yeah.
Louisa.
Well, it's an interesting idea of just being in a the people that are in a cult. It's there's a reason why they're there. And so from an outside perspective, people would think it's something that's scary, but the thing that I agreed with in my head, like when we were doing it, was like, well, like if you're in it, you're there for a reason, and you stick around kind of like for a reason, when whether or not it's from like outside influences or your own choices. That I think it was just like an important thing like to recognize, you know, and like so yeah, that was a little segue.
Wow. Okay, Zoe. I think well in the film, you know, when Lizzie calls, Zoe's not there, so maybe she leaves and. I think also the entire time she's kind of, well, I think she kind of flips out when Lizzie leaves, a little bit. I mean, it's not, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I think that it does kind of throw Zoe, because she does get close with Lizzie, but she's also...
Yeah, you can feel the bond.
Yeah, yeah, but she's also kind of, I think, jealous, too, at the same time. But I just think she leaves. She's like over it, and she like goes to California and gets with a guy because she needs somebody for sure.
Brady?
So I'm in this weird middle area.
Oh, sorry. You've got a big booming voice. Just kidding.
Just kidding, you don't.
It's an interesting question. I never really think about a character's life outside the confines of the screenplay. I kind of feel like you have sort of an intuitive response to a role in a way. And like when people talk about preparation for a role, I mean, I feel like you know, unless it's something really unusual or abstract that you're doing, that you just do it, and unless you have to lose weight for a role or you have to I don't know, learn how to play an instrument. I think that acting in films anyway is a very practical thing. It's just sort of about getting it done in the best way possible to serve the movie and your director. So I have no idea where the characters are.